All right, our next guest has an unusual condition where he can literally taste words. Get your head around that. It's called synesthesia. And
synesthesia.
Synesthesia, there we go. And thousands of people have a form of it, including Marilyn Monroe, Stevie Wonder and Geoffrey Rush. In fact, to raise awareness, James Wannerton created a map of the tastes of the London Underground and it went viral. He's now done a map of Australian tastes just for us. Here we go. Wow. And to tell us more, he joins us live from Manchester in England.
Hello.
James, welcome. Can you explain to me exactly what synesthesia is and how it comes to be?
Yeah, synesthesia is a neurological condition that affects the senses. Normally, well, I mean, we've all got 5 senses, so normally these senses act independently of one another. It's just that with a synesthete, somebody with synesthesia, what we get is we get a strange merging and mixing of those senses. I mean, for example, if you touch something, you know, you feel it, that's all you do, you feel it, and you can then pick up and recognise what it is from that. Well, a synesthete, when they touch something, they may see colours, wild colours swirling around, or they may taste something. So it's a weird mixing and merging of the senses, and it's totally involuntary. You can't turn it on or turn it off.
James, it is just extraordinary. I must confess, I've never heard of it before. Is it something that you've had all of your life as a little boy, or did it develop later?
No, it's something that I've always been conscious of. I mean, my earliest memories are from when I was around about 4 and a half, as are most people's. You know, that's when your brain fully merges, as it is, and you start to learn language, and that's where most of our dreams come from, around about that time. And I've always had it, always.
But what can you remember? What you, how you felt when you were 4? I mean, what did you think? What was going on?
Well, it's something that's so sort of natural and normal that really there was no need to mention it. It was just something that I had. When I saw a colour, for example, I would get a sharp taste in my mouth, and there was nothing for me to certainly to go on at the time. That, you know, everybody didn't do this, so it just seemed perfectly normal. It didn't make me stick out in any way. It didn't make me feel uncomfortable.
So you'd be walking down the street and you saw a bus, and you'd think of a taste. Is that how it works?
Yeah, with mine, it's very, very intense because it's actually a mouth feel I get. It's not simply an association, you know. I mean, when I do get a taste for a town or for a name, it's actually a mouth feel. I can feel the texture. It's got temperature in there, and as well as obviously the flavour.
Because I must say, looking at the map, you've done the taste sort of map of Australia. Sydney, you say it's like kidney in lumpy gravy. Oh, that's
it's got that pretty much right.
Yeah.
Brisbane and aspirin. I mean, Perth Weet-Bix. It's Tim Tams. I do like a Tim Tam for Melbourne. So that's the first thing that comes into your, when you see that name, that's the first sort of thing that comes in the taste. Is that right? That comes into your mouth?
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what happens. It's a taste that comes with the sound of the name. If I read it, I'll read it in inner speech, and I'll hear the sound of the name in inner speech. Like Victoria, for instance, gives me a very strong taste of. Like the best way I can describe it is candle wax.
So crossing to us,
I'll think of Victoria.
Crossing to us now in Australia and talking us here at Studio 10, have you got a taste in your mouth?
Maybe a sour
Well, I have,
taste.
yeah, because I mean, every time you speak, every word that you say comes with a taste. I mean, some are stronger than others, but I mean, there are occasions when you'll say something that is very, very strong, and I'll get distracted. You said something earlier on there that tasted very strongly of bacon. I don't know what it was, but it was a very, very strong taste. Momentarily distracted me.
So when you eat carrots, do you think of Darwin? Does it reverse?
No.
When you have aspirin,
no,
do you think Brisbane?
No.
Okay.
Do you judge friends?
No,
Do you look at your mates and go, ooh?
Well, yeah, it's a funny thing because it's only in retrospect. Because if I ever look back over the names of my friends, the friends that I've had and the friends that I've got, indeed, they've all got nice tasting names. So there must be some sort of choosing there along the way. And it's like a monkey that sits on my shoulder, choosing, making decisions for me. It's very, very weird.
And James, how do we know? And I actually do know, but I'll tell you that later. But how do we know you're not just making it up? How do we know you're not just, you know, people say, oh, you've just got an overactive imagination, or you just think you're experiencing these things, or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started investigating this, because it didn't really affect me at all until I started taking exams at school, because I found it very difficult to regurgitate information or, in fact, listen to, say, a lecture or something because of all the tastes I was getting. And what I did was then I went to a doctor and mentioned it, and I got the same reaction that you mentioned there, you know, overreactive imagination. It's some sort of memory trick. And the only test they had in those days was consistency, because, I mean, these tastes and textures are quite complex. And so what I did was I gave a great big long list there. I gave a whole load of tastes, and they tested me over a number of years, and they were exactly the same every single time. Now, with the advent of MRI scans, that was the thing that really cracked this, because an fMRI scan, it tastes very strongly of semolina, that, by the way. What it does is it actually... What it did, it showed a neural flow going between the sound part of my brain and the taste part.
Yeah.
And that just simply doesn't happen in a non-synesthete.
Yeah, science has certainly proven that it is neurological. James, just before we go, we have to wrap up very quickly, but what does the name ITA taste like to you?
That's it's very strong, actually. That it's sausage. That's the best way to describe it. It's sausage with a very thin skin on it.
James, thank you very much for joining us. Wow, what a spectacular condition that you have. So fascinating to talk to you about it. And you can check out what your town tastes like, or your city tastes like, by checking out our Facebook page.
It's
A strong taste of sausage. It's
Yeah,
interesting,
but
because you
with
are
or
strong
without
and you like
mustard.
sausage.
with a bit of pepper. But it's true. I actually I have synesthesia as well.
Do you?
Yep. Days of the week and notes on a piano I all associate with colours, and it's been the same colour my whole life. And I didn't know until a couple of years ago. An ex-girlfriend sort of said, "Oh, you do know that?" I thought, doesn't everyone just know that Mondays are yellow?
Oh,
How
it's so weird
isn't
and
it? I
cute.
And what about, so today's Friday?
Yeah.
What colour's Friday?
Sort of black. Fridays and Saturdays are both kind of very, very dark. Not in a bad way, but just Saturday's definitely the colour black, and Fridays are sort of very dark blue-black. Thursdays are kind of bluey-green, Wednesdays are kind of reddy-orange, Tuesdays are more sort of vibrant
What's middle
blue.
C on the piano?
C is white, but also interlaced with blue, if that makes sense. And then D is brown, E is red, F is green,
So when you hear the note,
G is orange,
you
A is
see
yellow,
that colour, is that right?
B is blue-grey.
Wow.
Goes on.
What do you see when you think of Kesha and her songs?
Boobs.